Hi there. I want to talk today a little bit about content strategy and how to build a content strategy for your organization. Now, the word content strategy gets thrown around a lot, and there's a lot of different definitions of it and a lot of misunderstanding about it. I did a quick Google search on the term content strategy, and there's so much out there, and it can be easy to get confused. As I was reviewing some of the articles and blogs that I found that came up in my Google search, I was getting confused as a marketing professional. So, for someone who isn't as well versed in marketing and isn't doing it every day, I can see how they're getting confused as well. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about content strategy and creating a strategy for your business, not to create some massive, robust strategy that is going to produce a ton of content, but something that's more manageable and works for your business because you didn't go into business to build content strategy and to do marketing. You went into business because you're passionate about something else. And so let's dive into content strategy and learn a little bit more about how to build one. So, when it comes to building a content strategy, it's really about starting with your business objectives and going a step further and determining how those align with your audiences and what they may need. This Every aspect of your business is always about what is our objective and what does our audience need. And content strategy is no different. So, when I'm building a content strategy for my agency or I'm working with a client, I always go back to what are our business objectives? What are we trying to achieve in the short term and the long term? But then also, who are our audiences and what do they need from us? And the answers to these questions will really lay the groundwork for building that content strategy and ensuring that you're producing content that is actually helping you to meet the answers to these questions rather than just publishing content just to publish content. So, the first step on this easy road to building a content strategy is first you need to determine your content pillars. And the best way that I like to do this is I like to select three topics that align with your business objectives, solve a problem for your audience. They're content rich, meaning, is there a lot to work with in this topic? If one of my pillars or my topics is social media, there's a lot to work with within social media. There's a lot that I can post on social media. There's a lot that I can talk about or write blogs about. So you want to make sure that each pillar has a lot that you can work with. And then you also want to choose pillars that make you unique and represent that you are an expert because ultimately your business objectives are trying to raise awareness about your business or nonprofit to then make sales or get new clients or get more volunteers or members or donors. And so you want to make sure that you can set yourself apart from other people on your through your website or email or social media. So here are just a couple examples of companies that I've worked with, and their content pillars. And a lot of these align with brand pillars and brand strategy, which when you start to get into that, things get really complicated. But these, starting with just a content strategy, you'll be in good shape. So you can see right here in the middle, there's a plumbing company that I work with, and the content pillars that we work around is their quality service, that they're family owned and operated, and that they're community based. And that really drives a lot of 90% of their content. If we stay focused on those three things, that really helps us to create quality content. It helps us to be consistent. We're not trying to every month think, okay, what are we going to post this month? We have these three pillars to fall back on each month so that we are more efficient in our marketing. But I say that with, don't get so tied to your content pillars that you can't be nimble as other content becomes available. So, using the pillar approach offers a starting foundation for your content, and it really gets you off of shaky ground on a more stable footing to start. and then you can add more content as it's available. So, for example, with my agency, I have my three content pillars that we rotate through each month. But then I also like to add my personality into my social media, especially and into my emails. So, you might see content related to my family because that's really important to me. You might see content related to um, being a college professor because that's something that's really important to me. And it allows me to show my personality, and it doesn't dismiss the content pillars, it enhances and builds upon what I already have existing. So the next step is we need to determine the types of content that we are going to use. And I like to use the formula of selling, sharing, and forming. And these are the three types of content that you will have. So selling is obviously about sharing your services and what they can do for your audience. So that plumbing company, we talk about the quality of their services and talk about hire that plumbing company for your home repair needs. Sharing, this is about telling about storytelling. Excuse me, that didn't make sense. This is about sharing stories about your business. This could be sharing stories about your business internally specifically, or it could be about sharing stories of clients or members or donors who have been impacted by your services. So this is about sharing what you do and just adding a little bit more life and personality into your content. And then the other thing that I like, and I like to do, I like to live in the informing circle quite a bit. This is sharing resources, tips and tricks, and then thought leadership. So again, how can you make yourself and set yourself apart as the expert? And by creating resources and tips and tricks and sharing that on social media or on your website, you're really providing that information to your audience. Now, you should be spending the majority of your content time in the sharing and informing circles. The selling is used very little. Really, the sharing and informing content should be moving your audiences to want to purchase with you, whether that be actually purchasing a service or maybe it's making a gift as a donor or becoming a volunteer. So use the sharing and informing content to really build up your audience, engage your audience so that when you provide selling content, they're ready to convert. So here's an example from one of my clients. They're a law firm, and this is actual content that we did with them in 2021. So in that selling circle in 2021, we ran a series called What Can XYZ Law Firm Do for You? And it wasn't so much of call us to book a consultation. We just talked about their services and what we do. They focus a lot on small businesses for their clients. And so we talked a lot about what their services specifically can do to benefit small business owners. And then next, sharing. We do a lot of client spotlights and testimonials, and this allows people to see how clients, existing clients, work with the law firm and what benefits they have. And so there was a lot of story sharing going on of um, incidents or issues that the law firm helped that client overcome in their business. And then on an informing side, we did a great little series at the end of 2021 um, called Assessing Your Legal Needs for 2022. And we just provided tips, tricks, resources, a little bit of thought leadership on making sure that you're prepared for your small business for 2022. And so, wrapping this all up, it provides a really good, um, well rounded content strategy because you're not getting a constant sell, 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 but you're also not just always in this informing and you are really just become an online resource. So finding a good balance is important. We've all seen the social media pages or websites that it's just like they're blasting you with messages, and that's off-putting. It doesn't work well, and so it's about finding a good balance and being providing a good place for your audience to get what they need. The next part is determining your content channel. So you've determined your pillars, you've found your rallying points of where you're going to develop your content around, and then you have determined the types of content you're going to do. You've determined your sell, share, and form. So now we need to determine where are we going to get where are we going to get that content out. And so this is really about determining your content channels. And I always ask people, clients, if we can first do an audit on the current communication channels. And this is a good exercise to do, not only in the beginning of when you start creating and building content, but throughout, as just a check in. So, where are the opportunities to distribute content? And are there any channels missing? So, you can distribute content through video, through social media, email funnels and newsletters, website, blogs. If you're a nonprofit, solicitation letters. What are all the ways that we can share our content? So, as an example, if you're a nonprofit, you have your solicitation story where you highlight maybe a volunteer that you've worked with, and that goes out in the solicitation letter. And then you do a mini series on social media about that volunteer. Maybe that mini series includes a video that you created with the interview of that volunteer. And you also do an email campaign that includes that video, as well as you have a web page that the solicitation letter drives back to, that includes that video and maybe a full feature story on that volunteer. So we've got one theme and we're getting it out as many ways as possible. So here's another client example of a client, a religious organization that I work with, and their business objective is to raise awareness of services. Their services are no cost, so it's not really about selling. It's just making their audience, Indiana congregations, aware of their services. So our pillars that we determined were education, grants, and resources. And this is really the services they provide, but these are the pillars that we need to rally around when it comes to the content. So, the types of content that we use, education events, we're obviously promoting that quite a bit. Congregational stories. So, we focus on storytelling about congregations, some who have used the organization services, and some just doing really cool work in the community. And then we also do a lot of links to resources. They have an online resource hub that's pretty robust. And so, how can we get that content out and let people know about this online resource hub? And then our channels, they don't have a lot of channels right now, but they work for their audience. And so I say that because don't feel like you need to be on every single channel. If it doesn't make sense for you, it doesn't make sense. I tell people a lot, like for my agency, there are some social media channels that just don't make sense for me, whether it be my personality or my audience isn't there or what have you. So you need to determine what channels make sense for you. For them, for this organization, they have a weekly email that we send out to their entire database, their audience. Obviously, social media is very popular with them. Right now, we're just on Facebook and Instagram. We're trying to get LinkedIn up and running for them, but it's been a slow pull, but they're not on every single social media channel. Their website and blog is obviously very important to them and their work. Those congregational stories are being posted on the blog and serving as a home base that we can then link out in the email or link out in social media or what have you. And then they're an organization, like a lot of nonprofits, that still very much use flyers and digital flyers. So, sharing about educational events on those digital flyers, that communication channel is very, very important to them, that they can have their staff reach out to congregations one on one and inform them about education events coming up or other resources coming up. So it's really about finding what works for you and not complicating the process. And then I wanted to do one last note about repurposing content. I am a huge believer in repurposing content. If you scroll through my agency's uh, Instagram or Facebook, you will see that we repurpose content a lot. And the reason being is you're not going to catch everyone the first time. And if it's really good content, then it definitely has a longer life than just that one post on social media or that one email that went out. So I have a blog post on my website. I've included the URL here that talks a little bit more about repurposing content. We have a secondary post that talks about the life of content once you do post it, and I encourage you to take a look at that and learn a little bit more about repurposing content, because I believe in let's spend time creating really great content that we can use over and over again rather than doing less quality content just so we can get quantity out of it. So just food for thought. Again, as small business owners and nonprofit executives, we don't have a ton of time to create a lot of content. It's not something that may rise to the top of your to-do list every day, and so we've got to be strategic of how we use our hours in the day and how we use our time. And so creating good quality content that can have a longer life than just low quality content will definitely reshape and elevate your content strategy. So I hope this video was helpful to you. Feel free to email me if you have any questions, and I can't wait to see some great content.